Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Tom from UDS with another edition of UDS Interviews, our series where we chat to interesting people from around the world. And my guests this week are one of the true icons of the metalcore scene, somehow constantly outdoing themselves with every release, creating some of the heaviest, tastiest tracks around. And we're here backstage at the Electric Brixton in London. It is my pleasure to introduce Mike from arguably the most handsomest band in the world today, The Devil Wears Prada.
Sever the ties, another day, the same disguise.
How's it going?
You're being much too flattering. I thought you were going to introduce someone else.
Oh man, I speak no lie. And we do like to be, welcoming hosts here. So can I interest you, and feel free to say no, in a juice box to enjoy with me while we do this interview?
I'm okay, but I appreciate that.
That's okay. I'm trying to get a sponsorship with Ribena, which is a juice box company over in the UK, and we shall see how that goes. But anyways, so, we'd like to get to know each other a little bit better before we get into the music questions and everything else. And to do that, I have to ask you the real thing to get to the core of you, and that is, Mike, if you were a type of sandwich, what kind of sandwich would you say best defines you as a person?
A Reuben.
Man
but
after
I
my
am
own
vegan,
heart.
so it is a vegan Reuben. But I love a Reuben.
Is there a good place to get a vegan Reuben around your way?
In Milwaukee, I would recommend Comet Cafe as a vegan Reuben. But if you're down in Chicago, you go to the Chicago Diner and get the Radical Reuben, and it's gnarly.
That does sound good. That does sound good. My favorite sandwich. You're a man after my own heart. You're a man.
Really?
Oh God, yeah. You got the mixture of everything. You've got like the meats. You've got the
I love sauerkraut.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it? Like you think pickled cabbage, and you think it's gonna be a bit crap, but then like you try it and you go, this just makes everything better. So yeah, that and like some nice cheese. I guess I feel like vegan cheese has come on a long way as well in the past few years.
Certainly. You don't want to do Daya. Daya is the popular one, but like you guys have Violife over here now too. Violife's the good. That's the good stuff.
It's good. Yeah. Wow, you sound delicious if that's the sandwich you're going for. So we're on to a good start. So you've been out in the UK playing with Landmarks over the past few days. How has that experience been for you guys?
Great. We haven't been to Europe or the UK since the end of 2022. So it is a delight to be back. And Landmarks has sold out a lot of shows, which is amazing. And they're a French band, so we got to play across France. Way more France than I've ever experienced, which was lovely. I know people around the UK don't like hearing that so much, but...
Hey man, I was in Paris last week and I loved it. It's the first time I've ever been to Paris and it was amazing. So I'm all for it. Where was your favorite place that you visited in France?
I had a delightful time in Paris. Paris is the easy one. We played some of the really nice venues. And the kind of joke is that you only get to do those if you are French.
Yeah.
So Landmarks is like our kind of token in there. So
nice.
It was quite nice. But I love being over here. We're back in Berlin, Prague, Copenhagen. Some of my favorite places. So it's been great.
Amazing. And do you find, the crowds and the scene in the UK and Europe, do you find there's any difference to what you experience back at home in the States?
Yeah, definitely. We were able to afford production and whatnot back in the States, and it's more just kind of home base and everything. But we love being over here. We don't get to come over here as routinely as we would like to have a stronger presence, but hopefully that will change because we released a new song that seems to be doing well, and the tour's been doing well, so thumbs up.
We'll talk about the song in just a bit, but you are actually coming back over to the UK as headliners next year, aren't you? Which is super exciting.
Yeah, I hope we sell some tickets. It'd be really embarrassing if no one comes. That's the issue, but it'll be fun.
I mean, you're going to have 2 tickets from my friend behind the camera and myself for sure, because it's I've seen you guys a couple of times and it's always been an amazing show. So I'm definitely coming back. And speaking of the new single as well, Ritual, was dropped a couple of months ago, and it feels like an evolution on sort of the sound that you had with Color Decay, the album a couple of years before. Could you tell us a little bit more about the track?
Yeah, it's a poppy little tune. we've been working with some different songwriters and whatnot. And this one was our first time working with Tyler, who Jeremy and I actually grew up with around Ohio as we were like teenagers. And now Tyler's been in LA for a while and has written huge songs for huge bands. So it's funny. Like Tyler lived with like former members of the band back in Dayton, Ohio. So it's just funny small world. But yeah, we've just been collaborating with some different people and new ideas and whatnot. John, our keyboard player, has been producing the band for years now. So it's cool to watch him and be in the room and contribute any way that I can, while him and other very creative songwriters are going at it and, you know, piecing together what metalcore is today, I suppose.
So it must feel quite familiar and quite comfortable writing with Tyler, given that you've known him for such a long time.
Yeah, and he's so sweet. Like, he's such a sweet, wonderful, kind, generous dude. It's just funny that we both landed where we are and get to play music and afford food too. So
that's always a good sign, isn't it?
That's the sort of bar to meet.
Yeah, me too. And speaking of the single, the single artwork, have you found out or have you heard of anyone getting that tattooed on themselves yet?
I haven't. But it is an image of a tattoo, I think. I don't know. I don't get the emails.
I was going to say, if I had like more than sort of a week to prepare, I would have done the whole big reveal, pulled out my arm, and just gone until today. But
rip off your sleeve.
Yeah, that's it. Hulk Hogan it. That's the way. But this is your first single of the year, if I'm correct. Is there more releases down the pipeline that you can tell us about? What are you guys doing in terms of the writing room?
I don't have a whole lot to say, but we are writing. We have a number of other songs accumulating in the song bank, and we'll be doing more of that after decompressing from tour for a little bit. So, yeah, next month we'll be grinding away and just making as many songs as we can to choose from and whittle down and edit and produce from, and perhaps some new music next year or this year. And then a record next year, but I don't know. Exciting. I don't get the emails.
Fair enough. And you mentioned decompressing after a tour. What is your usual routine for decompressing after a tour?
Oh, I'm a bit of an old lady at home. I like gardening and plants. I play a lot of ice hockey too. I love hockey, so I'll get home for the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs and loaf with the dogs, loaf with my old lady, and I'm already behind on my garden. Get some cucumbers going, some beans. So are you more of a veggie and fruits kind of gardener than like the flowers and the decorative stuff? I haven't. I would love to do sunflowers, and a friend gifted us some sunflower seeds, which can grow like 6 to 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's already too late in the season to do that, but I would like to try. I also love composting. So these are kind of my things when I'm home, and it'll be nice to, while I'm already a little bit behind, I'll catch up.
Ever since lockdown, I've been trying to grow the biggest pumpkin possible. That's kind of like my gardening challenge. I've got pretty big. I found this variety called Atlantic Giants, and they weigh about the same as me. And so I have like a really good relationship, and I'm like super dad mode on them. Like any sort of like slugs or snails or birds that try and peck it out, I'm out there all hours of the night trying to protect my babies.
I love it. My sister, she's a gardener as well. She has 2 kids, my nephews. And her and the little boys are growing pumpkins this year, so I'll see how they do, and then, it would be nice for you can make like a pumpkin risotto maybe, or like some pumpkin gnocchi. That's a good one.
I'm basic. I normally just go for the soup and just.
That works.
It's pretty easy. It's pretty hard to take that wrong. But yeah, I'm a man after my own heart. Knows a Reuben, loves his gardening. We could be friends. But here at UDS, we don't just talk about music. We talk all pop culture, movies, video games, everything we find interesting. We tend to chat about it. So with that in mind, if you could have one of your tracks featured in anything, nothing's off the table, what would be your dream thing to have the Devil Wears Prada track featured in?
Oh. I haven't got that one before. One of the most informative means of receiving new music as a kid was BMX DVDs and skate DVDs. So if we were ever in a skate vid, that'd be really cool for me. I can't imagine really making it any kind of soundtrack. There was talks of that around the whole zombie thing we do. So definitely any kind of zombie video game, that'd be cool too. But doing the rock band and the Guitar Hero, I don't know if that's a thing anymore. I'm not very tapped into video games at all.
Yeah.
But those are always big. I learned about some bands from Guitar Hero when I was a kid, but I think in terms of the cool factor is a skate vid for sure.
That, or maybe a Tony Hawk game or something like that. I think that would be...
Yeah,
that's kind
skate
of
was super cool.
Yeah, that's kind of how my music taste got set. But weirdly enough, back in 2010, 2011, I think the first time I ever came across you guys was someone uploaded some tracks from Zombie to a compilation of zombie movie clips.
Oh.
And so it's weird that that's kind of like a full circle kind of thing. But yeah, that's how first, 15, 16 years ago, however long it was just damn, I like these guys. They've writing about zombies, and then found you guys about after that. So yeah, it's been a wild ride. But obviously we're about a third of the way through 2024. But as much as you can, we've touched on it a little bit. What does the rest of this year have in store for you guys?
We're putting together another tour in the States. We're going back to Australia for the first time in a long time. We haven't been to Australia since before the pandemic, so we're long overdue, and I look forward to visiting over there again, and then just popping around the United States for a number of festivals here and there. So keeping busy and whatnot, as well as the songwriting and, again, my elderly crafty activities at home.
Nice. You got to always make time for the elderly crafty activities. It's what life's all about.
That's my tombstone.
Absolutely. And we have one last question to ask you, and it is about as dumb as half the questions I've asked you today, so settle in. And that is, we are UDS, which stands for Upside Down Shark. And don't ask me why we settled on the name Upside Down Sharks many years ago. We're in way too deep to change it now. But be that as it may, Mike, what is your favorite shark? And it could be real, it could be fictional, so it could be a shark from a movie or whatever, or a shark from the ocean. What would you say your favorite shark is?
I did a paper in school when I was a little kid on great white sharks.
Nice.
It's the shark. So I think that's the obvious answer. I wish I could think of something a little more creative in terms of I don't know, something pop culture like you reference, but a lot of good tattooed sharks. You have to give a shout out to it's a good thing to get tattooed, I believe.
Yeah. And the great white's it's the biggest for the reason, because it is the biggest, baddest thing in the ocean, pretty much. So
indeed.
It's a solid choice.
I was thinking, as you were saying, other things were being played. Another big one is at an NHL arena, during a hockey game.
Yeah.
Some friends' bands have had that honor, and it would mean the world to me. So I'd have to say a San Jose Shark too, which is an NHL team, being a big hockey guy. Although not a fan of that team, and they're also not any good. But I respect a Shark for sure.
Hell yeah. I mean, speaking of that part of the world, I'm a Padres fan, and so I know what it's like to root for the loser all the time. But be that as it may. Mike, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you about sandwiches, sharks, and everything in between.
Thanks, man.
Let's live for the ritual.